What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. You are shocked at how many modern comics I've been reading. Well, I just happened to buy two of them at the same time with the Silver Surfer Black and this. They both came out the same week, and I was interested in reading both of them because Donny Cates wrote a Silver Surfer mag, and then Hickman came back. Hickman's been gone for a few years. I guess he got kind of burnt out as he was doing too many events and things like that. And he writes these pretty grandiose storylines, which are kind of crazy. And so I was pretty interested in this. This is House of X, Powers of X, which is two miniseries he did last year, this year, whatever it is. And they tie together. Definitely don't recommend reading them apart. This is the best way to read this storyline. They actually have an order where it's not just straight like issue 1, issue 1, issue 2, issue 2. Like it'll be like issue 1, then like House of X 2, 3, then like Powers of X 2, 3. And they read better together that way as they culminate into a huge story. The amount of organization that they had to spend to build this story had to be absolutely incredible. So this is the oversized hardcover, and it combines both books. And there's two covers to this. This is the direct market variant, which is only available in comic book stores. There's another one, which is a cover you'd be able to get on Amazon or whatever. I liked this cover better. I think the art on this is absolutely beautiful. And I liked the faux wraparound. I was pretty annoyed, though, because, wait a minute, it doesn't actually, it just wraps around this much. Like, why not just wrap it around all the way? Oh, well. They didn't do that, though. There were several posts about actually the cover design and things like that. There's these lines across it, and they actually have to do with like keys and genomes and things like that matter to the book. And so I was pretty interested in reading the cover design on that. That's the dust jacket. Inside we have these lines continued, and there's the X with the little key right there, as mentioned. And we get into the book. So the book has a couple different artists on it, and so you get some varying looks to it, but they're both very solid. We have Pepe Larraz on House of X and R.B. Silva on Powers of X for the most part. And I think the colors are really what shines here beyond the pencils. Colorists don't get enough love. Let's read their names here. Marte Garcia with David Curiel on the covers there, and then on both of them. So that's who's responsible, I think, for the really nice look on this. Now, there's these cool pages all the way throughout this, which have these like little designs, and this one has a quote: "Humans of planet Earth, while you slept, the world changed." And here's where we start. We start with Professor X. I've not read an X-Men comic book in a decade, so I have no idea what's going on here. We have Professor X dealing with these mutants who are coming out of like some egg things, and he's standing and got a helmet on. So I don't know why, but that is what he's got. And so it starts right there, and I think that's actually a reference to a panel later on in the book, as this is one of those really like intricately weaved storylines that I can't talk a ton about it without just like absolutely ruining it for anybody who wants to read this. But basically the X-Men have their own mutant island now, like they used to have. They used to have it with, I think it was Genosha or something like that was what it used to be called. But this one's now called like Krakoa. And Professor X is running it instead of Magneto, and he's setting up his own mutant nation again, and he's doing so because there's these like future plots that they learn about that are going to be something that they're going to need to really band together with everybody, like Magneto, Sinister, everybody on the same side in order to stop. Otherwise, everybody's doomed. Mutants, humanity, everybody. So it's a big 1,000-year storyline, and it's kind of weird. I always see these things and I always think they're kind of weird. I love this art. I'll stop right here. This is like, I just love this look. I think the mask really pops. This is a very feminine look, and I just think it's absolutely fantastic. It bothers me sometimes, these storylines, because they they rewrite the continuity because there's different timelines and all that, and what it ends up doing is it just invalidates all the other continuities, and so nothing matters. And so that's my big problem with these events and retcons that they do with modern comics. And they do this in order because the writer wants to push things in a different direction, or editorial wants to push things in a different direction. And it happens so often now that it's like none of these stories matter because they're just going to get retconned and rewritten in a month or a year or the next event or the next writer. So it's like it hurts on that level with modern comics, and it makes it really hard to read them, in my opinion, because of that fact. Now this is, like I said, like some of the background stuff that you get you get maps and different histories and things like that is pretty nice. So the crux of it is the X-Men have to go to space from their little island as they're trying to establish this island, and there's the Sentinel, which is being set up to like evolve and into this like new thing called Nimrod. And then Nimrod eventually, thousands of years from now, will evolve into something different. And then these giant black hole aliens are going to show up. This is the big spoiler element, to kill everybody. And no matter what they do in the timelines, it never seems to work out. And so this gal, Moira Taggart, goes back in time and deals with the timeline every time. And so what happens is when she dies, she gets her powers. She gets put back in the womb, back in time, where she then grows up and recalls every one of her lifetimes perfectly. So she can then use that knowledge and experience to change things. And so she does. And you see in this that she manipulates Professor X by knowing this. At this point in the storyline, it's a mystery, so you only see a little bit of it, and it unfolds very well as you go along. I mean, on the craft level, Hickman is unparalleled. I don't like the art on that volume as much as I like some of the other art. But, it can't be epic all the time. And then we get into the future. The Powers of X actually is the X-Men taking place in the future, and we kind of see the end results of what's going on. And they're actually fighting against this alien group and monster group as the plotline goes along. So it unfolds. I couldn't put this down, I'm going to be honest, even though I hate the global repercussions of it from just the continuity comic book side of things and what it does to comic books and what it means for comic books. As a story just self-contained by itself, if I take all that aside, which I can, as I don't read X-Men and I don't read Marvel comics that are modern very often, the craft of this is so well done by Hickman. It's just like, it's flabbergasting. And I say this as a professional writer. I'm jaw-dropped at how he can weave all these elements together, weave all these timelines together, and then create a sort of masterful story. It's like, this is what Crisis on Infinite Earths was meant to be and tried to be, but Hickman did it better. And so you see Moira Taggart's lives and her lifespans. This doesn't mean a lot to you at this point in the book, but if you go back and read this after you've read it, you learn about her lives, and it becomes pretty interesting. So it goes forward, and he's, kind of making deals with the devil, the Professor X is, in order to get his whole situations going with these people. And, you get a little bit of every X-Man. If you're interested in certain characters, you get a little bit of everybody. I don't think there's a ton of character development in it. I think it's mostly a high concept piece, and I see that typically with Hickman. You don't really get a lot of the characters. They're really pushing the mutant state and the mutant new nation and all that, and trying to get them recognized and trying to get them some authority so that they can do their own thing. Throughout the course of this, like I said, there's several plot lines that just weave through this, and it's so masterfully done. I could not put it down whatsoever. And as it goes through, they all band together and they end up figuring out a way to deal with things so that humanity can survive. And they also build their mutant nation. And at the very end of it, it actually ends as in the 11th or 10th issue out of the 12 of these, and it's all finished. And then we actually deal with, I think, is it the 11th issue or the 10th? The 11th and 12th issues actually deal with setting up the Mutant Nation and setting up what they're going to do and how this is all going to work and what their laws are going to be and all that. So it's actually like the last 2 issues of this are a coda to the story. And you see this scene again we saw at the beginning. It comes about full circle as we go into this. And we are basically setting up the new X-Men titles. And that's what's going on here. And as that happens, we've got some new repercussions because we've got this new reality where all the mutants are together in their together land, where it ends right here, and working together, doing their thing. New reality, and also he set it up so that there's a genetic repository of all mutantdom. So all mutants can die, and then there's a backup version of them that they can just get resurrected immediately, so that they always exist and their powers always exist. And that's what those pods were, where people were popping out of them. He can send the X-Men out on missions to die, and they respawn. It's like a video game. So I don't know what I think about that. I mean, it's a cool concept, but you know, there's greater repercussions to that. We'll see how that unfolds in the X-Men titles, I guess. We get different covers and variant covers at the back, like is usual in a lot of these volumes. And you know, it sets up a universe where, like I said, the timelines don't really matter because you can always just change the timeline. And whoops, and we've got I don't know. I just don't like the way the modern comics just don't care about developing characters and making the characters matter, and their deaths matter, and their love choices matter. Everything can be reset at any time, and this is a continuance of that, which is the unfortunate part. But as a self-contained story, this is about perfect. This is a how to write craft on an excellent level. So I'm torn. As to the overall global repercussions of this, because it just doesn't seem like comics are ever going to take seriously character development ever again. It seems like it hasn't gone that way since the 80s, but we kind of knew that. But on the other front, this is a very good story, and the setup is very interesting. And if you just view this as his run, and you don't view the global whatever for the characters, I guess it's fine. I don't know. What do you think about that, guys? Do you care about continuity? Do you care about character deaths mattering? Do you care about the timeline mattering? Do you care about whether the event from House of M, actually it is called House of X. House of M is like 10 plus years ago now, and basically Jonathan Hickman just said, nope, not in continuity anymore, and so it doesn't exist and doesn't matter anymore. Does it matter that those things just get done in comics regularly? I guess leave your comment about that. I'd be interested to see what you think. I don't know. I can't get into the continuity anymore. I just can't care. But I will check out things that I think are interesting and have good craft, like this Hickman book right here. Might as well from the perspective of just like trying to see what the industry is up to these days, see what they're doing. Personally, I'm going to take a different tack to my writing, and I like building characters and having those characters change and matter. But I guess that's something you can afford in indie comics, and you can't afford when you're a movie brand. So that's it. It's great and yet depressing at the same time. So I guess deal with that if you like that sort of thing. If not, then don't. I'll see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, hit the like and subscribe button. I'll talk to you soon.